Hello YouTube and welcome to this new video on Wuthering Waves. On today's program we are going through Tower of Adversity of version 2.5, though at the time of recording I am one day away from patch 2.6 and Augusta's release. Anyway, not the point. I am quite late with my videos, I'm still trying to catch up, so let's get right into it. But you know what? This time around I'm going to try something different in terms of format. I'm going to first do the explanation, then gameplay of the left tower, then the explanation and gameplay of the right tower, and finally the explanation and the gameplay of the middle tower, and at the end we'll have a Zani bonus round. Let me know if that works for you. For the left tower, we have enemy glacier resistance decreases by 10%. When resonators cast intro skill, their attack is increased by 5% per second, stacking up to 4 times. At max stack, they gain 40% resonance skill damage bonus. This effect ends when the resonator is switched off the field. Now, in Wuthering Waves, we don't have that many options for team building as there aren't that many characters, and for instance, this left tower and its glacial resistance decrease is clearly meant for, you guessed it, Carlotta-Camellya-Changli, aka Montini, or even known as a measurement unit, I suppose. I actually recently read why people used her as a measurement unit, and it's because her initials are cm, as in centimeters. Yeah, as a user of the metric system, I am ashamed that I did not put 2 and 2 together, but once again, not the point. Other than small Lota, we don't have much in terms of glacial DPS. I mean, there is Lingyang, but we don't talk about Lingyang on this channel. This little shit prevented me from getting my S5 Zani. So who do we have? We have Zhezhi, who happens to be Carlotta's best in slot support, but can also act as a main DPS if needed, though you'd have to have a pretty strong build if you want her to compete against the Short Queen. We also have Sanhua, though I've never seen her used as a main DPS, as she's more of a quick swap sub DPS for other characters. All of that being said, I shall use a Carlotta, Zhezhi, and Shorekeeper team on this tower. Here we will be facing 2 Chop Chops in the first wave, and then the Dragon of Dirge. These enemies don't have any kind of particular moves aside from attacks that you need to dodge and parry, though be aware that the Chop Chops have an attack where they kuru across the map, so when you spot them on the verge of launching that attack, try to place yourself in a way that will prevent them from separating too much, which very clearly I did not do. As for the rotation, I always open with a Carlotta skill to start the stack on her forte, and put her skill on cooldown so I can focus on my supports. You probably noticed that I went straight for my Zhezhi, and that's to start building part of her concerto gauge to facilitate the rotation afterwards. I try to get about 3/4 of her concerto gauge up so that using her liberation will fill up the last quarter, and then I'll swap off to Carlotta. That way I minimize the time spent on Zhezhi during Shorekeeper's liberation buff, and Carlotta is the one who can benefit from it for most of its duration. Speaking of Shorekeeper, there isn't much to be said here. Once you've built up some resources on your other characters, focus on the Shorekeeper to start the rotation. Use her Echo skill, her skill, normal attack, and heavy attack to fill 3/4 of her concerto gauge, then use her liberation to fill the rest and swap to Zhezhi. Once Zhezhi is on the field, use her liberation and Echo skill to swap to Carlotta. Once Carlotta is on the field, use her skill to fill the rest of her forte bar, and then proceed with her liberation. Rinse and repeat. One thing to note is that I'll often swap Shorekeeper in after Carlotta to get the intro skill nuke from the Shorekeeper, but then I'll swap to Zhezhi in order to build a bit of a concerto gauge before restarting the rotation. Of course, what I've described is what I try to do in an ideal scenario, but combat can be hectic, so sometimes not everything will line up perfectly. Despite that, we've cleared this with 41 seconds to spare. For the right tower, we have fusion resistance decreases by 10%. Fusion damage bonus is increased by 25%. Dealing damage with intro skill causes a blast that deals 1500% fusion damage, triggered once every 10 seconds. Once again, this tower shows favoritism toward a specific element, and in this case it is fusion, so dust off your Changli, Brand, and Lupa, as I think that would probably be the best in terms of team. I suppose Encore could also work if you lack a Lupa in your life, as I do, though I personally find her a bit clunky to use. Changli is known to be the queen of quick swaps, so you can pair her with anyone who fits that gameplay type, and in my case, master and student shall fight together as one in this Changli Jinhsi team, accompanied by Verina, as she has some coordinated attacks that will help Jinhsi's forte stacking mechanic. Here we'll only have one boss to worry about, but there isn't much to worry to be felt as it's nothing more than a Lampy Lumen Myriad. Of course, with this boss you have to monitor the freeze stacks, otherwise once you get 10 stacks, if I recall correctly, you will get frozen. If frozen, you can unfreeze yourself by repeatedly pressing the buttons on the QTE prompt. In my case, it's A and D, which really is not quite convenient as A is also my echo skill, meaning that by spamming that key, I'll eventually waste my echo skill inadvertently. But that is because I am using a French keyboard, so you might not have that issue as the prompt would probably be Q and D in your case. Anyway, in terms of rotation, well, there isn't much of one in my case. What I mean is that playing a Jinhsi Changli quickswap team is incredibly difficult if you want to master its full potential. I myself have not mastered it, because I spend most of my time playing with my waifu Zani. From my understanding, you want to try and take advantage of Jinhsi and Changli's long animations to swap between the two of them constantly. This is helped by Jinhsi's ability to gain an outro skill every time she uses a special skill aptly named Dragon Puke Nuke by I Win to Lose Gaming. The reason I chose this team despite my lack of skill with its gameplay is precisely to showcase that even if you are not a master of quickswap, you can still clear this boss, and I did it with 28 seconds to spare.
Bloom! The fruit of evolution. Life is in everything.
Together we vanquish. Take form. Who's the caged bird now? Break!
Finally, for the middle tower, we have enemy electro resistance and havoc resistance are decreased by 10%, and their arrow resistance and spectral resistance are increased by 10%. When resonators cast intro skill, they gain a 30% heavy attack damage bonus, an electro damage bonus, and havoc damage bonus for 30 seconds. Clearly, the game is telling you do not use Carlotta or Zani, only use Electro or Havoc. This is probably meant for the upcoming Augusta, who is Electro, and I believe, not sure though, as she's not been released at the time of recording, I believe that her damage might focus on heavy attacks. I say this because our other Electro DPSs are Xiangli Yao and the sadly forgotten Kalkaro. Neither of them focus on heavy attack. If I recall correctly, both are focused on liberation damage and maybe a bit of skill damage as well. In terms of sub-DPSs, we have Yinlin who pairs well with Xiangli Yao, and we have Discount Yinlin, aka Yuan Wu, who's not exactly the worst, though I don't believe his damage is on par with Yinlin's. On the Havoc side of things, we have the recently released Frolova, who you can pair with Rocha and Cantarella, but in my case I'm going with a Camellia team since I don't have Rocha and my Cantarella isn't exactly the best. I'll pair Camellia with Shorekeeper on the first floor and Verina in the second floor. If you're wondering how I can use Shorekeeper and Verina in the middle tower while also using them in the left and right towers respectively, it's simply because I soloed floors 1 through 3 with my main DPS only for each of these towers. In other words, both Shorekeeper and Verina were only used in the 4th floor of each tower, which means that they still had some vigor left. For the enemy in this half of the middle tower, we have Fleur de Lys. While Carlotta is a cute little waifu, her alter ego Fleur de Lys is very aggressive as a boss, so you'll have to dodge and parry quite a bit with her, though no worries, that'll only charge up your concerto gauge, so it's all good. Speaking of concerto gauge, this is concerto gauge the team. In other words, for the rotation, you can start off with Shorekeeper. Echo skill, bend skill, and normal attacks into heavy attacks when you get 5 stacks of her forte. Do this until you reach 3/4 of her concerto gauge, and then use her liberation, and afterwards you can swap to Sanhua. Sanhua is the easiest and fastest character on the field, at least as far as the characters that I'm used to playing. Intro with her, use her liberation, then skill, and then hold her basic attack while monitoring the forte gauge in order to release the whole basic inside of the blue zone, and then use her echo skill and swap off. Finally, you intro with Camellia and then use her skill. Afterwards, you can use her whole basic attack in order to get into the spin to win mode, fill up her concerto until her skill glows whatever color Havoc is, and then use that skill for a mini nuke. You can use her liberation whenever, though I suppose you should use it before she gets her concerto filled, which is not what I did, because I'm a bird brain. You can do a bit more spinning to win if you feel like it, and if you still have your buffs from Shorekeeper and Sanhua up. Otherwise, use your echo skill before swapping back to the Shorekeeper to restart the rotation. I've noticed that sometimes I wouldn't get Sanhua's liberation on time, mainly noticed it in Whimpering Waves though. Don't ask where that last Whimpering Waves video went, we don't talk about that. Anyway, a quick fix for that is to put Sanhua back on the field before restarting the rotation with the Shorekeeper. Use a skill and hold basic attack to get some energy and then start the proper rotation back with the Shorekeeper. And thanks to my awesome display of skill issues, we cleared this half with 12 seconds to spare. Yeah, that ain't much, but it's enough.
Vitality sower.
Finally, for our almost last fight of the day, we have a Rocksteady Guardian and a Rage Against the Statue. Whoa, I think this is the first time I've ever read their names. I usually just recognize them with their little image, but anyway. In this floor, we get 3 waves. First wave is 2 Guardians and second wave is 2 Ragers. And then the final wave is the boss with the Morning Axe. Damn, the devs really didn't want me to enjoy my Zani. Anyway. Only thing to mention here is about the Morning Axe. It is an old boss, but just in case you don't know, I will warn you to dodge anything you can, as it has a specific move that you won't see here since, well, I dodged it, but it grabs your character and then proceeds to French kiss you. Problem is, it uses too much tongue and your character passes out from it. More seriously, it will almost one-shot you, and if you already have some missing HP, it will actually one-shot you, so do be careful with that one.
Vitality sower. Let's have fun. The fruit of evolution. Luminous energy. Mommy.
Stay behind me. Lotus pervade. A
Bloom from ashen shell. Feed my blossoms, self-deceivers. Grafting, suffer. Let's have fun. The fruit of evolution. Bask in the sunlight.
Stay behind me. Shackles be gone.
Sprout of budding seeds. Don't run. Keep the dance going. Crimson blossom. The fruit of evolution. Life is in everything.
Stay behind me. Frozen blockade. Frost bloom.
As you can see, we cleared this with a whopping 0 second to spare, so I mean, it still counts, but yeah, I may have cut that one a bit close. Before we get into the character's build section, I wanted to try my Zani on Fleur de Lis despite the spectral resistance on this floor, just because I love playing her. In terms of rotation, you do your Shorekeeper stuff as mentioned previously, then swap Phoebe in. With Phoebes, you want to hold skill to enter her blue mode, which people who actually read kits call confession mode. That way her attacks will apply Spectral Frazzle, which Zani needs for her blaze stacks. Technically, you can use Phoebe as a main DPS if you use her hold basic instead of her hold skill in order to get her into her yellow mode, aka Absolution mode, which deals more damage. Anyway, it's not Phoebe's time to shine. Well, it actually kind of still is because I'm not done with her rotation. Once you enter confession mode, you use her skill once to pop a circle on the enemy. If you press skill again, you'll be teleported to the middle of the circle, which can be used to dodge incoming attacks, though I kind of failed the first time I tried it during this fight. Use her liberation to apply Spectrofrazzle, use her normal attacks to apply Spectrofrazzle, and then echo skill into a swap for Zani. With Zani, you echo skill, then liberation, and then you just bonk the enemy to death. Once you're out of blaze, you can use her liberation again, and if your concerto gauge is filled, you can swap back to Shorekeeper. If for some reason it isn't, then you can perform a few normal attacks or skills depending on what the enemy is doing. Despite this flaw's spectral resistance, we managed to clear this half with 52 seconds to spare, though to be fair, for those of you who have not been following this channel in the past, you should know that my Zani is at S4. Although I guess I kind of mentioned it in passing earlier when I said that I couldn't get her to S5 because of a certain someone showing up even though no one asked him to. Anyway, on to the build section of the video, and for that, I shall hide myself.
Darkest hours nearing, in silence we're drowning. Hear the knell of death draw nigh, beneath the shattered heaven. Within our faith, through the tears it shines. On the way out, but I don't wanna take it. Buried I am, we just gotta shake it. Ooh, our feet is sinking, and this time we'll fight it. From up high they cheer at us rowdy. Burning lands know we're their empathy. But you can be my saving light. Shine like thunder, stay together. Burn up the fire, never say never. Saving
And that was my clear of Wuthering Waves' Tower of Adversity of patch 2.5. If you found this video enjoyable, helpful, or entertaining in any way, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel as it helps keep the happy in Happy Owl TV. You could also leave a comment on how I can improve my runs and rotations, or share how you cleared your Tower of Adversity. If you want some more story-related content, I livestream on both Twitch and YouTube every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time, and every Saturday at 4 p.m. Central European Summer Time. On that note, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or the next livestream.